Hello. In this video, I'm going to show you how to factor what are called tricky trinomials. Tricky trinomials look like simple trinomials, so they're in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, except there is a number in front of the x squared. So for instance, 2x squared plus x minus 6. It's a tricky trinomial because there's a number in front of the x squared that cannot be common factored out. So this is how you would factor this tricky trinomial. The first thing is you want to remember that the coefficient of the middle term is a 1 because there's no coefficient showing. So in order to factor this, what you do is you take the first term 2 and the last term -6 and you multiply them together. So 2 times -6 is -12. So you want to find two numbers that multiply to give you -12 and add to give you the middle number of +1. So the two numbers that multiply to -12 and add to +1 are 4 and -3. So what you're going to do is you're going to split this middle term. So instead of writing +1x, you're going to write it as -4x minus 3x. So you're going to write this as 2x squared plus 4x minus 3x minus 6. So you've basically written the same expression, but instead of +1x, you've written it as -4x minus 3x. And the -4 and the -3 came from the two numbers you found that multiplied to -12 and added to 1. The next thing you do is you common factor the first two terms. So out of the first two terms, you can common factor out a 2 and an x. So you're going to divide each of these by 2x. So 2x goes out front. And when you divide 2x squared by 2x, you get x. And when you divide 4x by 2x, you get 2. Next, you're going to factor the second two terms, -3x minus 6. Remember, when the first term is negative, you should common factor out a negative with it. And the common factor of -3x minus 6 is -3 because 3 divides into 3 and 6. So you're going to divide each of these by -3. So the common factor is -3. And when you take -3x divided by -3, you're left with x. And when you take -6 and divide it by -3, you're left with 2. Now, if you've done this right, what's in this bracket should always equal what's in this bracket here. In which case, your final answer would be x plus 2, so you'd write the common bracket, which is x plus 2, and then in the other bracket would be the two things that are not inside brackets, 2x minus 3. And that's how you factor a tricky trinomial. So we'll do example 2. So you take the 2 and you take the 5 and you multiply them together. 2 times 5 is 10, so you're looking for two numbers that multiply to give you 10 and add to give you the middle number, which is 11. So the two numbers that multiply to 10 and add to 11 are 10 and 1. So remember, you take that middle term and you split it up into 10x and 1x. Now you look at the first two terms. What you can common factor out of 2x squared and 10x is a 2x. So when you divide each of these by 2x, you're left with x plus 5. Then you look at the second two terms, 1x plus 5. The only thing that you can factor out of 1x plus 5 is a 1, and that would be a positive 1. And then 1x divided by 1 is x. 5 divided by 1 is 5. Once again, what's in this bracket equals what's in this bracket. So that is going to leave you with the first bracket in your answer, which is the common bracket of x plus 5. And what's in the second bracket are the two things that are not in brackets, which is 2x plus 1. Example 3. So take the first term, 6, and the last term, 2, multiply them together. So you're looking for two numbers that multiply to give you 12, because 6 times 2 is 12, and add to give you -7. And those two numbers are -4 and -3. So you're going to split the middle term up. Instead of -7x, you're going to write it as -4x minus 3x. So 6x squared minus 4x minus 3x plus 2. From the first two terms, 6x squared minus 4x, the common factor is 2x. And when you divide each of these by 2x, 6x squared divided by 2x is 3x. -4x divided by 2x is -2. And the second two terms, the only common factor between -3x and +2 is -1. So you common factor out a -1. And then -3x divided by -1 is 3x. And 2 divided by -1 is -2. Once again, what's in the brackets is the same. So your first bracket in the answer is the common bracket of 3x minus 2. And your second bracket in the answer are the two terms that are not in brackets, which is 2x minus 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to practice examples 4 through 9. And you can come back to this video to check your answer. So you should press pause on the video and then practice examples 4 through 9 and then come back to the video to check your answer. So pause now. Welcome back to the video. We'll go over the answers to each question. You can pause the video to check out the solution. Now the answer to the first question is 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 1. Now it is possible that you've got these in a different order. So you might have these as 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 3. That's okay as well. It doesn't matter which one comes first and which one comes second. It's just as long as what's inside the brackets is what counts. The answer to question 5 is 4x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. Or again, you might have 2x minus 1 times 4x plus 3. The answer to number 6 is x minus 6 times 4x minus 3. The answer to number 7 is 2x minus 3 times 3x plus 1. The answer to number 8 is x plus 3 times 5x minus 2. And the answer to number 9 is 3x minus 4 times 3x plus 2. Now, for a question on this page here, trickier than tricky. The reason why this is trickier than tricky is that you first have a common factor. So if you take a look at 6, -4, and -10, they can all be divided by 2. So you've got a common factor of 2. So they can all be divided by 2. So you have a common factor of 2. And then 6p squared divided by 2 is 3p squared. -4p divided by 2 is -2p. And -10 divided by 2 is -5. Now you have a tricky trinomial. So the two numbers that, or when you multiply these together, 3 times -5 gives you -15. So you're looking for two numbers that multiply to give you -15 and add to give you the middle number of -2. So the two numbers that multiply to -15 and add to -2 are -5 and +3. So that common factor of 2 has to stay out front. And then you're left with 3p squared. The -2p will be broken down into -5p plus 3p minus 5. Once again, you look at the first two terms, 3p squared minus 5p, and what you can factor out of there is a p. And when you factor out a p, you're left with 3p squared divided by p is 3p, and -5p divided by p is -5. In the second two terms, the only thing that you can common factor out of the second two terms is 1, and that's a +1. And then when you divide, 3p divided by 1 is 3p, -5 divided by 1 is -5. Once again, the brackets are the same. So your final answer has the 2 out front, then the common bracket, which is 3p minus 5, then the stuff not in the brackets, which is p plus 1. We'll do another one. Example 1 here. These all have a common factor of 3. So you can common factor out of 3 out of each of these. Then 6n squared divided by 3 is 2n squared. 9n divided by 3 is 3n. And -27 divided by 3 is -9. Then you take the 2 and the -9, multiply them together to give you -18. So you're looking for two numbers that multiply to give you -18 and add to give you the middle number of 3. And those numbers are -6 and +3. So the middle term gets split up into -6n plus 3n minus 9. You look at the first two terms, 2n squared minus 6n. What you can divide into these two is 2n. So you're going to common factor out a 2n from the first two terms, leaving you with n minus 3. The second two terms, 3n minus 9, you can common factor out a 3, a +3. So you're left with n minus 3. And these brackets are the same. So you have a common factor of 3 that's still out there. then the common bracket of n minus 3, then the leftovers that are not in brackets, 2n plus 3. All right, this one you can cross out because it turns out this one you can't actually factor, so you can cross out number 2. And then you're going to try 3, 4, 5, and 6 on your own. Remember that there's a common factor of each of them. So for instance, for number 3, the common factor is -1. And when you common factor out, that common factor has to stay outside the brackets at all times. So try examples 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pause the video, try those examples, and then come back to the video to check your answer. All right, so just taking up the answers. The answer to number 3 is -1 times n minus 3 times 5n plus 4. Remember that the 5n plus 4 could come first, and then the n minus 3 could come second. The answer to number 4 is -4 -4 times v plus 5 times 2v minus 1. The answer to 5 is 2x times x minus 3 times 5x minus 3. And the answer to number 6 is 4 times b plus 5 times 4b minus 5. And that is factoring tricky trinomials.